Hey, folks, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're ordering everything possible that is pumpkin flavored, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
I'm not ordering any of that. Just for the record.
Yeah.
If you don't remind me, maybe not. Anyway, it is Thursday night. It is 9 o'clock, and tonight we're talking about, well, there's a whole bunch of the letter G. Gilby, Gone Wild 3, and so much more with our guests, Genice and Gia. So welcome to both of you guys. We're going to jump into Gilby really, really quick. And, of course, live audience, we want you to share your thoughts about Gilby and geocaching and anything else starting with the letter G. Or not. Just anything. You make the chat fun. It's fun. Land Monkey is out on assignment tonight, so that brings it to me to tell you that, well, I'm going to take this opportunity for a quick reminder. We appreciate the support of our patrons. You know, they help keep this podcast coming each and every week. A special thanks to Land Sharks. They are one of our corporate level, Denali level sponsors. You can check out all that they have to offer at landsharkswithaz.ca. The other corporate Denali level sponsor I'd like to thank real quick is Gold Country Geotourism. You can visit exploregoldcountry.com. Learn more about the Geo Tour and the whole Gold Country region. Check them out at facebook.com/exploregoldcountry. And if you'd like to know even more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website.
Ah, you say that so well. You've had some practice.
Once or twice.
Thank you. And folks, without further ado, we're going to jump right in to the glows. What is a glow, you may ask?
What is a glow, I'd like to ask?
Well, thank you. I wish you would ask. Well, a glow is a geocaching log of the week. Now, whether you wrote it or whether you read it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Now, you can send an email or a field recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can also call into 253-693-TFTC and show us how you glow. And folks, we need your glows.
We do. Send them in. We like to hear from them. And, you know, as he mentioned, you can call 253-693-TFTC, and you don't have to listen to me read it. But tonight, well, you do. This was from Starcacher. Starcacher says, I got my 10,000th find today by doing the GC8 NEAT CITO of the park near my home. I got a bag full of trash, a white tile, a rusty kid's bike from the creek, and 2 kinds of wires dropped by utility crews. And he'd like to share a photo of what all that booty looked like. Yeah.
Fair it ain't so.
That's right.
Thayer Park.
So,
City of Toledo.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
TOL. So, thanks, Starcacher, for sending that in. Congratulations on 10,000 finds. And
Amazing.
Thanks for helping keeping the game board neat.
That's right. Do you know what Toledo's TV station is? One of them. WTOL.
Okay.
There you
Does
go.
that have
Just threw that
anything
in
to
there.
do with Tony Paco's hot dogs or anything? No?
No, but now I'm hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, those are good. Okay, I'm gonna not think about Tony Paco's. Yeah, you can't do that once you mentioned it. You've thrown off the whole show now, Witsen.
Mission accomplished.
Okay, we'll make it through somehow. But folks, if you want to get into the chat tonight, and we know you do, use the hashtag Gilby right there in the show notes, and we'll get that in. You'll get your questions in. Of course, you can use hashtag Vitas and to bring up a topic in the after show. And let's not forget about hashtag podcast baking, because Gia, for some reason, people like to bake during this podcast. So let us know what you've got cooking. Wait a minute. What's too late? Oh, he's talking about the food. Okay.
Now I'm hungry.
Because, you know, they're the ones that do a lot of baking. And I thought
they're one of the biggest culprits of that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, hey, let's try to distract you from the baked goods and the ice creams and all of the other things that people are baking. Baked Alaska? No. We finished the glow. There's not a lot of news. Let's just jump straight in with our guests. What do you think? We haven't forgotten about Jeannie's and Gia. Would you guys take a moment maybe and introduce yourselves to our fine chat crowd here? Who wants to go first?
Gia, go ahead.
Sure. I'm Gia, geocaches. Yes, that is my real full name, Gia, G-I-A. It's a perfect geocaching name.
It is.
I've been geocaching since 2011, but I didn't really get obsessed until 2014. I've been pretty hopelessly addicted ever since. Up until recently, I lived in Fargo-Moorhead, which is where I first heard whispers of Gilby at an event. And I think it was probably 2017 when I first went to check it out. And like everyone else who has ever visited Gilby, I immediately joined the chorus of people singing the praises and sort of officially started calling myself Gilby's hype girl a couple of years ago. And I think Gilby kind of embodies one of the things I love the most about the game is just this sense of community that can be built in the middle of kind of nowhere by one person. And it's cool to be able to celebrate that with Gilby Gone Wild.
Fantastic.
And Jeannie, what about you?
I started out, I had a GPS because of ham radio and something called APRS. Hats off to you, Jim. I signed up for an account in 2003, found one cache, didn't log it. Had a friend who went out caching with his kids and came back and said, this would be fun. And he got a bunch of us hams going every morning after breakfast in January 2006. I've got just over 5,600 finds, and I say it not about the numbers. And I had to point that out to Gia because she was incredulous that somebody would actually cache and not know how many caches they actually had.
I don't know how many caches I find. I have a general idea, but number, I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Well, one of the things I point out to people is with my 5,600, that's kind of interesting considering in all of North Dakota, there are only 3,300, just over 3,300 caches.
Oh, so you've logged them twice, is what you're telling
That's what
us.
it is, yeah.
You weren't supposed to see that.
No. I'm going to ask HQ to audit your account.
He can do that. He knows people. No, it's good. You're well traveled, and that's fantastic. And I enjoyed seeing you in person. That's a couple of recent event or two,
Yeah,
or something. Yeah. So
It was great to see you guys, and I will give the Pacific Northwest kudos for certainly putting on fantastic events.
You know, that is something I think we're pretty good at.
yeah, we're not good at everything, but that is something we are good at.
That's one area that I can claim we're pretty good at. That and gadget caches. But I digress. Now, we're here to talk about the event in Gilby. So can you tell us what it is? Maybe we should go with the original hype girl to tell us what it is, what's it all about, and how did this thing ever get started?
I mean, Gilby Gone Wild is just a celebration of Gilby. And I think the intro of the event written by Chad kind of sums it all up. He says, it kind of, I mean, Jerry, jump in here, but I want to say that it was a lot of pressure from friends saying, let's have an event. I was joking that it was going to be a mega event. Gilby could probably not sustain. It's pretty tiny. But that started, our first event was 2 years ago, kind of in the middle of COVID times. And we're now going into the third year.
That's amazing.
The first event was in 2021, 75 attended, and that was in COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had 140, and that was in 2020. In 2021, we had 140. And there are 100 will attends logged already, and they're still coming in.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
If you can double it every year, you exponential
exactly.
growth, right?
Exactly. Our research department is already hard at work. CRS 98 says there's as many caches in King County, Washington, which is the city of Seattle and the surrounding area, as the entire state of North Dakota. So, Genice, when you say you've been to 39 states, I'm like, well, I don't really have to go very far to find a bunch of caches. So,
well, I always tell people it's my tour guide. If I'm going someplace, the first thing I do is get on to geocaching.com and see where the good caches are, and that's where I head.
Yep. That's exactly what I do. And my wife and I went to Hawaii not too long ago. The first couple of days I said, I've got to do some geocaching. That's just required. And we'll use this as tourism. And it took us to some great places that were, a little off the beaten path. So
yeah,
it was really good. Kitty Quest says, I enjoyed chatting with Genice in Seattle, met Gia there, but didn't actually have actually chat with her. So there you go. You guys are well known.
Yeah. All right. So we're talking about Gilby Gone Wild, third annual Gilby Gone Wild. Can you guys tell us a little about this event? You told us a little bit about how it started. The GC code for people that are looking for it is GC9 Victor Foxtrot Echo Echo. Is that correct? All right. Yeah.
Yep.
They're nodding loudly for those of you listening to the audio podcast at home. And what can we expect to experience when we get to Gilby? And in case you listeners out there missed it, Gilby is a city in the state of North Dakota. And I looked it up on the map. It actually looks, not kidding, like a fantastic place I would love to visit. I wish I could come to this event. So I'll have to try to get that on my list somewhere. But tell us a little more about it for people that have never been there or never even maybe heard of Gilby, North Dakota.
Well, using the term city is kind of liberal.
Bustling metropolis, that would be better, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yes. A Gilby is about 12 blocks big. And the only stoplight in Gilby is in Chad's shop, and he doesn't even live in town.
Okay.
He claims it's going to be a cache someday, and I have no question that it will be. There really aren't even stop signs. Population of 243. So when the event takes place, if everybody were in town at the same time, population would virtually double.
That sounds great.
Wow. That's amazing. So give us an idea where Gilby is in the state.
It's about 17 miles from Minnesota to the east, 60 miles from Canada, 126 miles to Winnipeg. And the reason I mention that is that's the nearest large metropolitan area.
Okay.
290 miles to Minneapolis. And it's about 80 miles to get to a country souvenir in Canada. So when you come to Gilby, be prepared to go north and grab Canada.
Nice. Well, we have geocacher Ken in the chat that says there will be a decent number of Canadians going to Gilby this year now that the border is open. So you've got people from Canada coming down to this event. So it's not just, look for people looking to go north. It's for those looking to come down south.
It's a truly international draw.
Exactly.
They have always been a large contingent, and borders don't make any difference when you have geocaching friends.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true. All right, so we've got an idea of roughly where it is. It's the kind of place you definitely want to go in the warmer weather, from what little I know of North Dakota. So this event, did I see the date on it already?
Saturday.
Okay, so it's coming up really fast. I can't quite get to North Dakota that quickly, but so that's when it is, and we know where it is. Why did you choose Gilby? I mean, what is it about Gilby? Why did you choose that location?
Well, that's the home of geocaches, so that's where our friend Chad, who creates all of these amazing gadget caches, lives, and I think it's kind of fun to have an event in the middle of nowhere and have all these people show up to find, as he describes it, these strange little puzzles that he puts out in the woods.
Now, when you say in the middle of nowhere, what type of amenities are we looking at?
Well, there's not a lot.
Okay.
There is a
Bring
hardware
snacks.
store. There is a hardware store.
A hardware
There is
store.
a
Okay.
gas pump, but no gas station.
Okay.
Okay. We bring in porta potties for the event, although Chad also gets us access to the fire hall so we can head in there if we need to use the facilities there.
Okay.
And there's a community center. And the community center is really fun because they open up for us and provide something to eat, which is not able anywhere, I guess, about 30 miles is the next closest place.
Okay.
Wow.
So not a lot of restaurants there.
Okay.
So not only that, it's a win-win because it brings lots of money, or brings money back into Gilby when we're supporting the community center, and they're feeding us.
And the one gas pump.
Yeah, the gas pump. Talking about a tourist draw, Houston, Texas. Dave said it is the Disneyland of geocaching.
That's a phrase that Gia came up with and certainly applies.
So is
Now-
it the happiest caching place on earth? Is that why we're saying that?
I would say so. Well, that's when you solve it and get inside. Prior to that, it's something else.
All right.
When you solve it and get inside. Now you've got my attention. Okay. So what type of caches? Do you have any series, anything? I don't want to say of interest because that means the other ones aren't interesting, but any ones with more of a focus?
Well, I claim Chad's just a warped person. He comes up with the strangest things and makes them fun. One of his earliest and longest running caches is called Strongmen at the Fair.
Okay.
And if that brings to mind walking up and trying to hit that bell at the top of the with the great big hammer, that's exactly what it is.
Nice.
Now, what's even stranger about that one, I think it's about 8 foot tall, and at one point somebody stole it.
So there is a crime syndicate in Gilby, North Dakota.
Wow.
Probably people from Woolerton.
Yeah, Wallerton.
Gia, what's your favorite?
My favorite is called Driving Miss Daisy. And I think it's hard to qualify all of Chad's caches into one category because they're so unlike any other cache that I found any other place. And I think that's what's so fun. Like you kind of think like you've seen it all when you've cached quite a bit, and all of his caches are different. He just puts his own spin on things, and that's really fun. But yeah, Driving Miss Daisy
that's appropriate with this cache, putting a spin on things. I have seen this cache, not in person on YouTube and such, because it drew my attention to it. It's kind of like a small hairdryer. You hold it out the window and go about 40 miles an hour. There's a fan in there that spins up, and that gives enough power to turn on some lights and to help you solve the puzzle cache. Then you have to turn around and drive it back.
Exactly.
I mean, that is just devious.
It was interesting because when we met up with Rock Chalk out at Abbotsford, he looked at Chad and he said, I went to your cache and I said, I've never seen one like that before. Then I went to the next one. He said, I've never seen one like that before. He said, and I continued, and I did that for absolutely every cache that I saw of yours.
Fantastic. Now we'll have to have Chad on and have him talk about where he gets the ideas for this.
He'll tell you he keeps a notebook by his bed. He just wakes up and writes down these strange ideas he comes up with.
And then tries to remember what the notebook said in the morning.
Well, it sounds like he's super creative, and maybe it's out of necessity. Houston, Texas Dave asked if there's any lamppost caches there, and Tricaches says, well, there aren't any lamp skirts to start with in Gilby, so it's hard to have a lamp skirt cache when there's no lamp skirts to start with.
Yeah, that's true. It's got to be hard on the kids, right? Because that was my signal to be able to go home in the summer. You have to be home by the time the street lights are on. Yeah. And if there aren't any, you don't know when to come home.
The thing about Chad is he not only gets the idea, he's able to make it happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a craftsman in true term of a craftsman. He's a carpenter by trade, and he's just plain an evil cache maker. And he says he uses various scraps from his carpentry projects to make some of the caches. And I think I've seen my front step on one of his caches.
Okay.
That's good. Well, I also see in your description that he's a chief of a rural fire department, so he knows everybody in the area. And that can really come in handy when you're trying to get permission for caches. Mm-hmm. And he's lived most of his life there, and his wife has lived all of her life there. So definitely helps to be locals and know ins and outs there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. The other evening when we were holding our local chatting session, he said he contacts the area farmers to see what if they'll give him permission. He said not only do they give him permission, one of them sent back a map saying this would probably be the best place for them.
Nice.
Don't get help like that out here on the West Coast.
No, the farmers get upset if you get near their fields, right? Yeah, I don't want you coming down my road.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is most of these are, well, obviously they're rural, and they're in something called shelter belts. And
I don't think I know what a shelter belt is.
Well, in the dirty 30s, the land was blowing everywhere. The soil was blowing everywhere when the wind came up. So they started planting trees. And they did it about every mile or every farmstead. Mm-hmm. So all of these old trees are out there breaking up the size of the fields and very nice places to hide a cache in.
Makes sense.
I'm sure they had that in mind when they planted.
Are they narrow, just along the edge of the property?
They're usually, well, winds in North Dakota tend to be substantial, shall we say. So they're usually planted going east-west. So the soil will stay, when the north wind is blowing, it will drop it down there. So that's usually where they are.
Okay, that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah, if you're going to farm, it's nice to keep your soil.
Yes, you absolutely
It kind of comes in handy. So I'm learning that Rock Chalk has been there and raved about the caches. Have you had many other visitors of that people would recognize? Any well-known geocachers?
Well, other than Gia,
Well, she's the best, of course.
okay. I had gone to events for years and kept saying, Joshua, the geocaching blogger, you've got to get up to Gilby. And he kind of said, yeah, someday I'll make it up. Yeah, someday I'll make it up. And then he got here. And I think he's done about 3 trips. And he has produced some awesome YouTubes, TikToks, and whatever. But once he came up here, he just went, wow, these are neat. So if you want to find out about Chad's caches, that's one of the places to go.
That sounds like a good place, yeah.
Nice.
And it sounds like he's hooked, too.
Yes.
He made these shirts.
Those are cool shirts.
He made the Gilby shirts, huh? Nice.
Yeah, and the proceeds go to Gilby.
Well, it's no wonder that they're excited to, the community center is excited to have you guys all come. So that's cool. Giving back to the community is an awesome thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now I see that these are highly favorited caches. I mean, driving Miss Daisy is one of the highest favorited caches in the U.S. Percentage-wise, I believe, if not numbers. I can't recall now.
Not only that, as Gia said, we're in the middle of nowhere. There just is no large population areas. The interstates aren't that close. And when I was out in Seattle, I was driving along and my GPS said, please stay in the 5 right lanes. And I'm going, we don't have a interstate that's got that many lanes going both directions.
Sure.
Yep.
So he has looked recently, and according to Project GC, he has the 6th most favorite points in the U.S. Just over 10,000 favorite points.
Wow.
Over
That's
10,000 favorite points.
That's on about 60 active geocaches. And then he produced some other caches for the Pembina Walsh County Historical Society. They had places they wanted to bring people to. They'd heard about caches. They got a hold of Wise Family M&Ms, and Brian said, Chad, here's something for you. So he went out and has gotten caches. I think there are 44 caches. Many of them are gadget caches. And that's another just over 950 favorite points.
Wow.
Holy cow.
So that is a great way to bring people. We've all discussed it many times that I have found places that I never knew existed, and some really of the coolest places that I never knew existed because there was, because there's a geocache there. Mm-hmm. Or I think you were saying earlier, you go on vacation, first thing you do is, well, what highly favored geocache is there? So the Pembina, I was going to say Pembina, but Pembina Walsh Historical Society is using, I think, geocaching wisely to bring people to come and see what they want people to come see about their region. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. I would highly encourage all the historical societies to reach out and at least get an adventure done there, multiple stops around their area to show what they're proud of in their area, what makes them unique. And I think it's fantastic to use geocaching to do that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I grew up in Ohio, and Ohio is not quite as extreme as North Dakota as far as temperatures. I mean, we get cold in the winter, we get hot in the summer, but I think you guys are more extreme than Ohio. Am I not right?
Probably.
And
we get down to 30 below, sometimes colder. And it's not unusual to have 100-degree temps in the summer. And that minus 30 is an actual minus 30. That's not wind chill.
Wind chill,
It's not
okay.
the wind chill factor, right?
So the
Wow.
caches need to really be built and designed well to withstand such temperature extremes. Are they completely inaccessible once winter hits and ices them in, or can you still go caching year round?
You can still go caching year round. Chad will build caches and then kind of test them, leave them outside of his workshop for a winter and make sure that they're still able to be opened and accessible. And that was something he'd helped me put together some caches for the Fargo Moorhead Geo Tour, and people were able to visit those caches all year round, even when it was super cold. And it's like, why are you here now? But
that's great.
People
That's
were still
commitment.
able to find them and enjoy them. And
Little long-term R&D there on the back porch.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Gia, tell us a little bit about the Fargo Moorhead Geo Tour.
Yeah.
yeah, so that started in September of 2019. So that was an effort with the Fargo Moorhead Visitor Center, and then with support from the Minnesota and North Dakota geocaching associations. And originally the plan was that it was only going to be live for a year. COVID happened, and I think the Visitor Center just saw so many people, which we know as cachers that people will travel to find cool caches, but I think COVID kind of illuminated that for them, and they were like, wow, we'll just keep this going. So that tour will be live through the end of the year.
Is that the kind of tour you can do in an afternoon, or does that take a weekend? Or
It kind of depends. I mean, of course, I think that they're all at really interesting locations that people shouldn't just get through as fast as possible. But the caches are fairly close together, so you could probably complete it in a day.
Okay.
There's quite a few adventure labs in the area too. I always tell people, like, you're just a short drive from Gilby, so it's a good weekend trip, or longer if you have the time.
And that tour was a collaboration with a number of very creative cache producers, Chad being one, M&Mo's, and Onion Pond, all contributed caches that are, again, not your just find a lamppost.
Because there may not be a lamppost to find.
Well, in Fargo, Fargo Moorhead.
Yeah, well, Fargo, okay, there will be in Fargo. I'll give you that. Nice. Now, is there one cache out of that you're particularly fond of?
Not that I can pick. Can't pick a favorite.
So many quality caches.
Mission Mario is a pretty cool cache, and that one was built by Chad. That's a multi that starts at a mural like featuring Super Mario Brothers, and then the final is just super cool. They don't want to spoil it, but I like that one.
Gotcha. Nice. And now, is there a geocoin associated with this geo tour as well, or have they all been?
Yep, there's still coins left, and to get a coin, you have to find 20 of the 24 caches.
Oh, sounds reasonable.
And if you try to go to get your coin in person, if any of you have seen the movie Fargo, you can go in and look at the wood chipper.
The original wood chipper from the movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I've watched Fargo a time or two, I have to say. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, everybody here does but me then. But
okay.
Now I have to go watch Fargo.
You have to watch the whole thing. Okay. That scene doesn't stand alone. Okay. You have to watch the whole movie.
Okay. Will you guys wait while I go watch it? I'll be right back.
We'll just talk amongst ourselves. You're okay.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Now I'll do it another time. You go ahead.
Now I assume it's not too late to still be able to post a will attend. And what should we do to get the most out of this event? What's going to happen the actual day of, so Saturday?
Well, in typical style, you got to have not just one event.
Okay.
So we'll start out Friday evening with a gathering at the state park, which is just a little south of Gilby. That's just a meet and greet and meet up with your caching friends. Next morning, people will go out, and I've heard people actually go out at sunrise. I don't know what sunrise is because I'm an old retired guy, but they go out caching, and then we'll meet up at Gilby for the start of the event at 10 a.m. And people will go out and cache from 10:30 to 3 and just head out. And it's kind of interesting. There's all sorts of friendships that are developed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like any event where you go to cache and you see the same people over and over. Needless to say, there's a friendship that develops.
Exactly. I had a question. Now I've lost it. Because this is so much fun. Keep going. Keep going. What else are we going to do?
Well, that evening, starting, I should have backed up a step. In the morning, there will be a worldwide flash mob, again, just south of Gilby.
Those are fun.
Oh, nice.
That'll start out at 8 o'clock, and then Gilby Gone Wild is at 10.
Okay.
And
so
then
lunchtime.
The state parks in North Dakota have been absolutely awesome for geocachers. So I think every state park has geocaches in it, maintained by the state parks.
Wow.
Oh, that's a good arrangement there.
That's impressive.
Yes. And what we have been doing is there is something called 12 months, 12 hikes. So the state parks are trying to get people hiking. So we'll put on a geocaching event that involves a hike in the park. So that's going to happen at 6 p.m. And then on Sunday, a bit more south, there's going to be a Galesburg 140th anniversary celebration event. So,
wow.
And also, if you're in the area, I always say you got to do the geo tour in Fargo-Moorhead.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Especially since it's going away.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, so you've got to get up early and go and explore this. Now, here's what I was going to say. Jeannie, you mentioned it, that you don't see many sunrises. Well, I'm convinced if God intended us to see sunrises, he would have put them later in the day.
I'm totally with you. Did you hear that, Gia?
Got to maximize the caching time, always.
Now, you guys or Gilby is pretty north, in the U.S., much like Washington. So is it starting to get dark there earlier?
Very much so.
I've been shocked in the last couple of weeks. It's dark now.
Yeah.
And it used to be, 9:30, something like that was when it was getting dark. These days, it's considerably before that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you get up early and see the sunrise because that is the best part of the day. Get out a bunch of caches. You roll in to the Gilby grind at 10 a.m. when the rest of the slowpokes wake up and come in. Got that. We're going to head out and explore Gilby. Lunch, community center, as you mentioned, they're going to provide lunch, which is a rare opportunity in Gilby, as I recall. Door prizes, anything? Are you giving stuff away if people hang around?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's a true geocaching event then.
Yes.
Do you have any insider tips of what they're giving away?
I do not know.
Okay.
Ooh.
Always good to ask.
I sent a box of treasures that I accumulated from around HQ. So some fun
HQ treasures.
things.
Cool.
And of course, you've got to be there for the group photo.
Okay. Group photos are important. You have a group photo?
There's a group photo from last year.
Here's one Chris has prepared earlier.
Look, here's a photo I prepared earlier. Yeah. Okay, that was well done. That goes with the podcast making thing. You know, that looks like it's outside the Gilby firehouse.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it is.
What's interesting about that is if you could see the lower right-hand corner, you see the upper right-hand corner, there's a white space. In the part below that is a copy of one of Chad's path tags. That's part of that mural.
Very cool.
Fantastic. So he's well known.
We say infamous.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He's more than famous.
Beyond famous, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we've cached all day in Gilby. Got up early because that's the best time of day. We need to now crash at a hotel for the night. Is there lodging there? We can't all just stay at Chad's house, right?
People have been twisting his arm to get a B&B there, but he hasn't done that yet.
All right. So where would we find a hotel room? And maybe should people start booking them now because this weekend's coming up really quickly?
Grand Forks is probably the closest option.
Okay. How far is that?
That's about 40 miles. Is that right, Jerry?
About 30.
30.
Okay. 30 miles. About 1 million kilometers. But not a bad drive. Mm-mm. So we can go there, and they probably have a little more in the resource department for food, beverage, snacks, drinks that you can stock up there before you head to Gilby for the day.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Grand Forks also has a couple of other things going for it. There's 4 Adventure Labs.
Oh, nice.
There's a number of caches that are there. Mm-hmm. And I think there's one other thing that the podcasters from the Northwest appreciate. Is there something called Woodman's Chippers?
I know what those are now.
Yes, quite tasty.
Yes, they are.
And thank you again for those.
Surprisingly good. Yeah.
So if you're in Grand Forks, stop by Woodman's, which is a old 4th generation chocolate shop. And what they do is cover potato chips. Sounds strange, but it's absolutely awesome.
And tell them Jerry and Gia sent you.
That's right. And there truly are chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Chad says there's lots of prizes, raffles, and silent auction items. Oh. So there's auction items that aren't very loud at all. In fact, you can probably hardly hear them. Isn't that the way it works? Well, Chad, you ought to start up a B&B, like, a barn and breakfast that, people could stay at.
It's beds and bovines.
Oh, there you go.
We've been encouraging him to build ammo can, like tiny ammo can, little tiny houses.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, I was thinking more like the pod hotels in Japan, right? Except they're ammo cans. You could just stack them in there like cordwood.
See, and people say that, and I discourage it because that'd take away from his building more caches.
Oh,
there you go. Yeah, you'd have to get them pre-made then. I'm sure there's somebody building, an ammo can tiny house. Okay, so Grand Forks has a population of almost 60,000, so that seems like infinitely bigger than Gilby. They at least have one hotel there, right?
There are lots of hotels, and I do not think there is a major concert going on. So that's a kicker when there is a major concert.
I bet.
Housing gets interesting.
We've had lots of comments, by the way, Jerry, that Kitty Quest loves your cat, and they'd like to know, who is your friend there? So your cat makes the best episode ever.
Yes, that is Linus, and he decided to wake up for a while.
Okay. He's like, why are you still up?
Exactly.
You're not normally in here. There
Okay,
must be
so-
something in here for me.
So hotel and lodging, Grand Forks, if somebody's into camping, are there camping areas around there too?
Yeah, Turtle River is pretty close to Gilby.
Okay, that sounds like a nice place.
There's quite a few cachers. They've been sharing their campsite numbers in our fan club. So it seems like there will be a good group there.
Okay, and is that fan club something that anybody can go and look at, or do you have to know the secret handshake and be at Gilby once? And
You just have to, anyone can join. I'll approve you.
okay, awesome. Where is that?
I will drop the link in the chat here.
That's on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, I applied tonight and got right in. I
Wow.
don't know how it happened so quickly, but wow, what incredible service.
So they will let just about anybody in there.
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
There are more people in the Gilby fan club than in Gilby.
I can see that by the numbers there. 402 on the page right that you're sharing. And if my memory serves me right, it's 243 residents of Gilby. Or thereabouts.
Thereabouts, yeah. I love it. So, let's see.
What is interesting is a lot of those are coming a long way to get here. I think Chad said something earlier that somebody was coming from Norway.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
But we have people I know from Colorado, California. Those two I specifically know. Wisconsin, of course, Minnesota. And absolutely, we love finally getting our Canadians coming back because they can get across the border for the event.
All right, so you guys did all this work by yourselves, right? Is that how putting the event on goes? Or do you have people to help you out that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I've been supporting from afar since I'm in Seattle, so I'm more moral support on this one. But I think there's a whole crew of cachers that are going to be helping, Jerry included.
Yeah, Chad does a lot of it. Does
Okay.
most of it. Okay, try caches, but it's also everybody chips together. He put out a request for some people to help him, and I think I saw about 10 people say they would come and help at the tables or with the auction or whatever. So it's just, and if people have done a number of the caches before, they're going to still come out and see people and talk to them about the caches that are there.
Yeah, it sounds like these caches are worth experiencing even if you've already made the find. It's just to come out and be part of the event.
I have a fun story about that. One of the cachers, I think, is from Michigan. He came here, he and his wife came here, and they had a blast. He went back and he was talking to one of his friends saying, "You've got to go." So they came back out. Well, one of the caches is ET. I think ET Returns or something like that. And you have to get on it and you have to pedal the exercise bike fast enough to get enough electricity to get the lights to light up. So the new person got on the bike, assuming that the other one had found it already. And when he got done, the first person said, "Thank you. I hadn't done that one, so thank you for."
Sneaky but effective.
Nice. Gia is working hard in the background. I just saw a screen flash. There's another member in the group. So if you wanted to join the Gilby, North Dakota fan club, now's a great time.
Approved live during the podcast.
I know, exactly. Are you guys already planning next year's event?
Chad keeps saying he doesn't want to do it, but he doesn't have a choice.
Okay. He's the one that wanted it in Gilby, so it has to happen, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, so much fun. Well, thank you guys for coming on and talking about Gilby. This is exciting. I wish I could make it this year, but you know what? We may have to take a trip out, Wits End. What do you think?
I think I would love that. Yes.
Yeah. And thank you, listeners, for taking your time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Yes, and since Land Monkey's not here, I would like to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism. They are our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks with a Z.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. And you know what? They ship online orders daily. So
they're
get your
amazing
stuff and nothing flat. For absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, you also need to head up north to exploregoldcountry.com.
That's right. And we want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. It's Landsharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link somewhere on the cachingnw.com website. Now, I know you're going to think I'm patronizing, but I'm not. This was totally random. The first person on the list is Jeannie's.
All right. Well, thanks, Jeannie's. I get to thank you in person tonight. We'd also like to thank CRS 98,
Donners.
Kev MacD,
How about Kitty Quest?
B Pendragon,
Trexer,
Team Noltex,
Kid Vegas 19,
Dora Moore,
Forsgott,
Peach of Washington,
Kennel Barb,
Antaeus,
Green Words,
Dick Magnet,
Just Finding Our Way,
You Talks to Rocks,
GeoNav Pro,
RE54321,
Hey You, Dak,
Skyhawker,
Flagman,
Alarobrick,
Wet Coaster,
J-Car,
Gas Station Tuna,
GSM times 2,
Limax,
Fairwood West,
Boomer 365,
3 Hams and a Rose,
Keats 94,
Subway Mark,
M-Nerf,
MC3 Cats,
Logwork,
Sprouter,
J-Car,
Camp Clan,
Ackerdoc,
Seebeck Tribe,
Segehove.
and LG 9000.
Thank you all.
Yes, thanks to all of them, and thanks to Jeannie's and to Gia, both of you. It's fantastic to have you here tonight. If people want to get in contact with you, how would you like them to do that?
If they wish to get in contact with me, just go to the geocaching website and find me there.
That's probably the easiest way.
And for the event, you saw the link to the group.
The Gilby, North Dakota Fan Club.
That's right.
My membership is pending, so I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, here's what you search for in Facebook.
You're in.
I'm in. Woohoo!
Oh, 2 more members. Oh, man. So very nice. Hey, folks.
That means I was member 404, not found.
You weren't found. Oh, hey, folks. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget that your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. Now, if you didn't like the show, I know, just stay tuned. We have great shows coming up. and let us know what you want us to talk about. Either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. Whew. It gets harder, I think, each time I do it. You can call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask a question, or visit Gilby any time of the day or night. And, of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingandw.com. Join us every Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umpenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2022 by Chris Umpenauer. And, folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Oh, it's like you're there saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, Houston's Texas Dave says, have fun in Gilby this weekend. And while you're there, why don't you give us a call at 253-693-TFTC? Record a story about Gilby.
Please do. Let's see. In the FATAS, we have the ape event was Monkey Cakes find number 4,000.
Fantastic. That's more fines than there are in the state of North Dakota. I learned that tonight. See, I was listening.
Well, we talked about are there any lamppost caches in Gilby? And
no lamp skirts, no.
There aren't any lamp skirts. Gilby is how close to the northwest corner in Minnesota?
For caching in the Northwest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gilby's in the northeast of
yeah, but
North
the northwest of Minnesota, I'm going to guess, since Canada is 80 miles away, it's like 80, 85 miles to the northwest corner of Minnesota. But that's pure speculation from the basement in Washington State.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We don't let you out, do we?
No.
We missed a podcast baking. Chocolate caramel cruffins. Now, I have no idea what a cruffin is.
Is it like a crumpet and a muffin?
Maybe. A croissant and a muffin?
I don't know.
I
bet we'll find out soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd like one delivered to my house, please. In the basement.
There's a lot of things you'd like that aren't going to happen.
Yeah.
You can add that to the list.
Okay. Oh, I think that's all the FATAS we have for tonight.
I think that's good. It was fun. I was not all that familiar with Gilby before, but I'm excited to go.
Chad says, thanks for doing the podcast. It was fun watching Jeannie squirm, trying not to say anything nice about me.
Ah. Well, Houston, Texas Dave gives you a shout out for your caches, Chad. And Monkey Cake says it's a croissant and a muffin.
Oh.
So there you go. I've learned what a cruffin is. I've learned about Gilby. It was a good night.
There's also a cronut, right? A croissant and donut. I don't know what those are either. Yeah, because I don't get out of my basement.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.